Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where I'll be talking about their movies, obviously, their TV shows, merchandising, clothing, I don't know, whatever. If it's related to Disney in any shape or form, then yes, of course, I'll be talking about it. So here we go For now, for this video, as if it wasn't overly obvious by this point, yeah, overly strict parents just annoy the hell out of me. They just piss me off. Don't do this, don't do that. Can't go up, can't go down, can't go left, can't go right, can't go up, can't go down, can't go circle, can't go triangle. Can't. That's all I'm hearing. Can't, because for some reason it's offensive or whatever. All right. So I've been making these kinds of videos where in the more modern day Disney films, that'll be very selective of what's going to be portrayed on screen or even implied, I guess you can say. So I'm going to use a few things right here, folks, to prove my point. So I will give spoilers for Tarzan, Frozen, Frozen 2, and The Little Mermaid, the original one, of course. So if you have not seen any of these movies, just take this as a warning. If you want to proceed anyway, then that's on you. I'm just letting you know if you have seen these movies, then you have nothing to worry about. So I'm telling you to use these specific movies to prove a point. Like what is allowed back then and what is allowed in the more modern day cinema when it comes to Disney. Yes, this has something to do with parents just nitpicking everything, like nitpicking a lot of stuff because anything and everything that's deemed offensive by the parents will of course be completely removed. So in this case, it's in regards of people being beheaded or being impaled, which yes, or in these movies, but not in a graphic way, really. I mean, even though the whole concept, the whole idea of being beheaded and or being impaled is that in itself is pretty graphic when you think about it in a way. So it might seem like rather bizarre to actually see this in a Disney movie. Right in the beginning of Tarzan, of course, the first one, obviously, we get to see that, okay, he's supposed to have these loving, caring parents. They're like the sweetest people in the world. Okay, but they die. We see the corpses right there on screen. That's their dead bodies. As in, dead, not alive anymore. Corpses, unliving. However, whatever phrase you want to use, that's word equal to dead, dying. Okay, not dying because in this process, but killed right there, right in front of where everybody can see the dead corpses. So okay, that was definitely a thing. And yes, I know that technically was made in the late 1990s, 1999 to be exact, which a lot of people felt that was definitely one of the golden eras of Disney. Partly because, well, at least in large part anyway, because of the hand drawn animation, and a lot of people still miss those days where the hand drawn animation was a thing. Okay, sidetracking here. I'm not really going to talk about that really, but even though I've already made a discussion video about that already a while back. But anyway, just trying to say something about that. But okay, that's not the only thing that got really gloomy when you think about it, because and when you think about it, the main villain of the story was, of course, this hunter guy or whatever. He was a brute, yes, definitely. He was really mean and whatnot. And yes, he actually, yep, he died. He technically accidentally hung himself. When you think about it, even though Tarzan was trying to help him out, that was an accidental murder, I guess, because Tarzan was actually trying to save him. I'm not saying Tarzan made him die because made him dead. I mean, because he made that on his own accord, but what he was doing actually made him kill himself by told him a mistake. Yeah, gloomy stuff when you think about it. We didn't really see this in Tarzan number two, which is kind of confusing because that's actually a side story. Oh yeah, then it's Tarzan and Jane. It was that too. We didn't really see that kind of thing either. What I'm saying is that it seems rather tame in comparison, is what I'm getting at here. And of course, let's not forget about the animated series as well, which also does feel relatively tame as well. Okay, that's kind of odd. I think it's just because of the fact that the more modern day Disney does seem kind of tame to some extent because of the parents keep nagging about specific things being in these types of movies. For some reason, it's primarily the animated stuff they seem to be complaining about, which I noticed. It goes into live action stuff too, but mostly it's the animated stuff that we'll complain about. And another example of something like this, or what I'm talking about, is of course the. Also, I'm pretty sure a lot of you remember Off with Your Head in the original Alice Wonderland. So there was that kind of stuff, that kind of dialogue in that movie. But we didn't really see this kind of a thing in the remake. Not really, at least not as aggressively, really. And not even in the sequel to the remake. So again, it just goes into the whole notion that the more modern stuff has been watered down because people are complaining too much of specific things that are in these movies, which I don't understand. If it bothers you that much, don't show it to them. There are ratings. You realize that, right? Ratings do exist for movies, even though they weren't there originally. In Disney's version of Pocahontas, there was a pretty intense scene where the Indian character, well, one of them anyway, gets shot, and they got dramatic. Nothing like this was in the sequel whatsoever. So again, it just seems really, really watered down. That's just really odd. And again, let me go to the original film of The Little Mermaid. In this film, yes, we could see the climactic scene where the villain character is really pissed off and she really is really angry. So there was an attempt to murder Ariel and Eric, of course. And of course, like you might expect, Ariel is scared to death. She doesn't want to die. Of course not. But eventually, the character, the villain, gets impaled, thus killing her. And okay, that's pretty violent, which it is. I'm not complaining really about that because you have to end the movie somehow. And yes, death does exist. Death is real. It's a part of life, and it's there. Sooner or later, people will die. I guess, granted, some will die sooner than later, sure, but it's a part of life. It's a way to show kids that you're gonna have to accept death as a part of life sooner or later. It exists. It's there. You can't just act as if that it doesn't happen because it clearly does. It happens when you think about it. Christ almighty, I don't get people. I really don't. Why is this a complaint? I have no idea. Again, it's just the more modern day Disney stuff. It just seems really watered down compared to some of the other stuff. I mean, yes, of course, there's some more modern day Disney movies I do enjoy. But don't get me wrong, I'm just saying. But again, you don't see this kind of thing in the prequel or Little Mermaid. Nothing like this, not really. And not even in the sequel. Nothing either. Though I actually didn't mind the fact, in the movie's defense, I didn't mind Ariel having a daughter. That was actually pretty creative. I just wish it was in a better movie, but I actually like that idea. She having a daughter. And just so anyone knows, I didn't see the remake really, and honestly, I'm not really interested in seeing it because it just looks terrible. But it's a remake, of course, it's going to look bad. But I'm bringing this up in large part due to the fact that I feel like Disney's catering to the people who are complaining and complaining and complaining and do nothing but complaining. It just seems like you're just trying to virtue signal them because people are complaining and whatnot, which just seems weird because they should be more creative, which they're not doing. So instead, they're just taking the easy way out. I mean, don't get me wrong, folks. I know this is a business. You have to make money. Money keeps business going. That in itself is not the problem. Don't get me wrong. You need money. That's fine. Every business needs money. YouTube, Twitter, what have you. And you name it. Literally every business in existence needs money, and that in itself is completely fine. I'm not going to be complaining about capitalism here because I'm for capitalism. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that if all you care about is just money and nothing else, then then that's part of the problem. Is what I'm saying. You should do both. Be creative and like money. And this guy and this individual, this director, he does mention that you're not allowed to show beheadings, and you're not allowed to show characters getting impaled, which he was told, I guess you can say, because you're not allowed. He wasn't allowed to show that kind of a thing in his movie. Which yes, he did direct the Disney movie, by the way. So he had a discussion where specific things that were not allowed, like showing guns, smoking, drinking alcohol, stuff like this, which I've already covered, by the way, before this video, just throwing it out there. But anyway, it just goes to show you that they really want to water down a lot of stuff because little Jimmy over here will get too scared or something. I don't know. Anywho, yes, he directed the film Pete's Dragon, which honestly was not very good, really, because even that feels like it was watered down at the end of the day. It really was, felt like it was really watered down. This just comes off as though that the people, the parents, the producers, the script writers, anybody and everyone that's involved in these productions, and the parents themselves who complain a lot, just want to keep kids living in a bubble. Yeah, and that's it. Like, there's nothing wrong in the world. Everything's all fine and dandy. Hucky dory, everything's hip hip hooray. Cheerful all the time. Just no. This is so. It's depressing when you think about it. Just no. But the thing is that I'm still confused by all this. Sure, but okay. But what I'm saying is that this makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. I mean, okay, yes, I've made that clear. I don't get any of this to begin with. But that aside, what makes this even more confusing is that I can bring up one of the modern day Disney films. At least it's considered as a modern day Disney film, I guess you can say. Because one of their biggest hits is of course, a princess movie. And that princess film is, of course, Frozen. This just contradicts all the things I just mentioned a moment ago. Because, for one, at the end of the movie, we see Princess Anna frozen solid. So she, like, temporarily died. So that is still okay. And, of course, that's fine. And, of course, we get to see the whole idea where Queen Elsa, the older sister, she's devastated. You know, that's just terrifying in its own little way, don't you think, for little kids? Seeing your loved one, the very individual you care about, dead like that, at least you think she's dead. For you, that's an emotional thing. Not only that, even earlier on, when you think about it, earlier on in the film, there's the whole bit where it really shows that thing called childhood trauma because Elsa had accidentally harmed her without meaning to. So again, she thought she did something really, really bad here, and she thought she was going to die. And not only that, again, towards the end of the film, the character Hans was actually willing to decapitate Queen Elsa, and that was left in the film. Nobody told anyone to not include it. I mean, okay, sure, to be somewhat fair here, this was in 2013. This was back in the early 2010s. So the audiences will be a bit different than compared to the late 2010s and in the 2020s. Sure, that thing's going to be different in comparison, okay. But this is still kind of odd when you compare it to Frozen 2 is a massive success, financially speaking, even though the views might be a little mixed. Okay, very mixed. But anyway, there was a bit where Queen Elsa felt extremely guilty because she felt that she's the one responsible for their parents' death. That's traumatizing. And then the part where she practically died, she froze herself to death. So again, a main character, this happens to a main character. She practically forces herself to death when you think about it. Not only that, of course, as a result, Olaf dies. That happened. And of course, this is followed up by Anna over here. She basically just accepted defeat. Okay, darkness, just consume her, and she's ready to just give it up. That's how she pretty much felt in that scene right there.
Are you crying? Am I crying? No, I'm not crying. You're crying.
Okay, and also to make this even extra confusing, let me just switch genres right here to prove how what how what when what how odd this ruling is. How what? Look, okay. I would say Star Wars: The Force Awakens. I'm just going to end it with this because right in this film, because you see, there's an actual massacre in this movie. There's a slaughter in a town, and that's how the film starts off. These right from the get go, we see the stormtroopers shoot up a bunch of people right away. That was pretty violent. That was pretty brutal. Okay, it got dark. Okay, so that you let that slide? That's brutality right there. I mean, I know they're supposed to be the bad guys. I get that, but it is within context. So it's not like it's done for the sake of it. It goes along with the story. So I'm just confused here. That's all. All right, then. That'll be it for now, folks. This is just like another rant video in some ways, I guess. So as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh yeah.